want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible.
All right, folks. This is the year of return, 400 years in August, when 20-odd Africans first arrived on the shores of Virginia. And today, I attended the media announcement of HBCU Africa Homecoming. And what this is connecting HBCUs with the continent. And so we covered the whole event. After we finish today's show, we're going to live stream that whole event so you can see all the different comments that folks had to make there. But I have to speak to this. And there was a sister who was the ambassador of the African mission here. And she opened this thing up, and I really want you to hear what she has to say, because she makes a direct connection between what the colonizers did to the continent in 1884 to also what is happening today in terms of this whole dysfunction that exists with Africa, but also with those of us who our ancestors come from the motherland. And so I want to play this for you, which is an excerpt from what she had to say. Then we're going to chat with it about our panel. I really think you're going to be blown away about what she has to say. Go right ahead.
We were way ahead of them in our civilization. They set out to destroy us. And Berlin Conference put the nail on that coffin. So they gave Djibouti the same sovereignty as the United States. They gave Burundi the same sovereignty as China. They gave Togo. You see, the EU realizes individual little countries, they can't survive on the world stage. So they come together as the European Union. Now picture this now. So they cut up this Africa into the tiny little countries, small economies that could never survive on their own, but gave them the same sovereignty as the big boys. So that way, when the little bitty countries go to the world stage for the purposes of development and discussing trade, they're wannabe boxers who are being thrown into the heavyweight boxing ring every day. How do you put China in the same boxing ring with Eswatini? Eswatini has 1.2 million people. China has 1.4 billion people. And you put them on the same stage and say, go at it, negotiate. Are you with me? Yes. This is insanity of the highest order. How have we allowed this carnage to go on? When Eswatini is thrown in the same boxing ring with China and Eswatini collapses before Eswatini even gets on the stage, the world says, well, Eswatini, what's wrong with you? Why can't you take care of your people? Well, China came in and said, Eswatini, give me all your gold or else. And if Eswatini does not agree, they just go on next door to Lesotho and give Lesotho an extra $1. And if Lesotho doesn't take it, they just jump on to Togo, Central African Republic. It was all by design. 1884. They did something else in addition to chopping us up. They also set out to make the African believe that everything African was bad and undesirable, and everything Western, particularly French and British, was more desirable. We call that the legacy of colonization. Prior to that, they had started long working on the slaves. Make them think everything about them, forget anything about Africa. Where you come from is a horrible place, diseased and dying people, constantly at war with themselves, uncivilized. Cut out any communications with them. You need to just know what we tell you. And we call that the legacy of slavery. So that's where you look at where we are today. 135 years later, a system that was put in place to see to it that Africa and her children are forever defeated, that Africa is forever exploited, remains in place today, alive and well. And we sit here and we ask ourselves, why isn't Africa moving forward? Why does Africa continue to be taken advantage of? Well, I'll tell you why, very simply. Until Africa comes together as a continent speaking with one voice, one continent, one people, nothing, and I repeat, nothing is gonna change. As individual little African countries, we are wannabe boxers. We will never make it fighting against the heavyweights. We must speak with one voice. Yeah. And this is exactly what our Pan-African leaders wanted to see happen in 1963 when they came together in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. They clearly stated that Africa for the Africans at home and abroad, and that African Union was now. They said Africa must speak with one voice. It is the only way for Africa to take its rightful place on the world stage. Sadly, when they went to Addis Ababa in 1963, they were divided. We had two factions, the Casablanca group and the Monrovia group. The Casablanca group were saying Africa for the Africans at home and abroad, and African Union now. This was Ghana, Guinea, Mali, Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. Only 7. The other 25 of the 32 who attended were the Monrovia group. They were the nationalists. They said, let's go slow. Let's kind of wait on this Pan-African thing. 55 years later, 56 this year, we're still going slow. As if it wasn't bad enough that we were divided up into the tiny little countries that we are today. The gift that Berlin Conference gave us. One other thing that France did between 1958 and 1961 in the name of giving us our independence as African countries. France forced the Francophone, and I hate that terminology. There is no such thing as Francophone, Anglophone. They made it up. But for the purposes of communication, I will use that. 14 of those countries, they said, in order for you to get your independence from us, you must sign this document. You thought they could have found a better name for the document. The document was called the Pact for the Continuation. I repeat, the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. We are talking about giving you independence, but sign this pact for the continuation of colonization in a different format. And I'm going to highlight some of those issues that they said you must agree to if you are going to be independent. Hello. Maybe we need to redefine the meaning of independence for the French. First, France said, you see, you monkeys, you don't know how to manage your money. We're going to demand that you deposit 85% of your bank reserves with the French Minister of Finance. Under the French Central Bank, under the control of the French Minister of Finance. France is then going to take your 85% bank deposits from each and every one of you. Deposit those funds in the French stock market under the French name. And you may or may not know the returns. Today, as we speak, the latest figures are saying for every 14 billion that France invests in the stock market from Africa, they are realizing upwards of 300 billion in return. Every year in, year out, because of these deposits from the African countries, France is taking out of Africa over $500 billion. Now figure it out. For every 14 billion, the returns on the investment are over 300 billion, and they are taking over 500 billion. So in actuality, France is taking out of Africa trillions of dollars year in and year out. From us poor people, Africans. Back to the pact. So should you want to access some of your money that you have deposited with France, you have to submit your country's financial returns. And if approved, you get to get it as a loan. You can only access up to 20% of your money year in, year out as a loan at commercial interest rates. Your own money. As if that was not enough. They said all your minerals discovered, yet to be discovered, all your oil discovered, yet to be discovered. France and French companies have the first right of refusal. If there's anything left over that the French companies do not want, your people might have. To this day. They said you will only use the currency that we created for you because you're special Africans. We call it the CFA. there was the Central African CFA and the Western African CFA, same animal. And that France is the only one that can print it for you. 1958, fast forward, they're still printing it for us. And if you start misbehaving, they just stop printing your money, and your country's in trouble. They also said your language of instruction shall be French, whether you like it or not. That France will have military presence in your country, that your military can only be trained by France, that you can only buy military equipment from France, that you cannot have any military alliance with your neighbor, and that in the event of war, your allegiance is only to France. And furthermore, because they have military presence in your country, they can invade you without notice should they feel that the interests of France in your country are being violated.
Teach, sister, teach. Speak on, sister.
Fast forward, 2019, nothing has changed. The same people who have the audacity to tell us that we are poor countries, they are taking trillions out of Africa every year. And what is the African doing? Like an obedient, programmed black man, we just give in. We know the facts, but we just do nothing about it. Now, you have to say some of the fears are real, because if France that has sold you inferior equipment to theirs, France that has trained your military to be inferior to their military, they are now in your country. They can invade you. They have the permission to do so. They can destabilize you. And then one might say, why is it that African leaders haven't done anything about this deplorable situation? Well, let me tell you, my brother and sister, they have tried. Documented to this day, 22 coups where leaders were assassinated. France had something to do with it. The first 7, when they decided they were pulling out of the CFA and that they're going to print their own money, they were assassinated. Every time an African leader has tried to do what's best for their country, they were assassinated. Majority of them aided by France. It's a known fact. And then others, they were just mercenaries who felt that when there was a natural resource discovered in one country, they wanted to create a coup. So while the country is thrown into a civil war, they're siphoning the natural resource. We know of one particular story that had we not known about it, it would have been, oh, there we go again, the Africans. In about 25 years ago, a group of young, rich white kids were having fun in Cape Town. They found out that there was oil in Equatorial Guinea that had just been discovered, and they wanted it. So they set out a plan to have a coup in Equatorial Guinea. So while the Guineans are busy fighting a civil war, they will be siphoning the oil. But they made one mistake. There were 2 planes. One was to leave South Africa, stop in Zimbabwe, pick up more ammunition on their way to hunt in Equatorial Guinea. Another plane was taking off in the Caribbean that had this puppet Diaspora who was supposed to be the next president. Mugabe wondered why such young people needed such powerful ammunition to go hunt in Equatorial Guinea. In doing his research further, he found out that this was a coup in the making. He allowed them to land in Zimbabwe. They loaded their plane, and just before takeoff, they were all arrested. The ringleader of that group was none other than the son of the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Margaret Thatcher. She had to fly to Zimbabwe and paid handsomely to get her son out. The last one of those prisoners left Zimbabwe about 6-7 years ago. Had these young people succeeded, it would have been another coup. There you go, the Africans again. Such, my brothers and sisters, is the story of your Africa. They don't do coups anymore. They simply create instability. So when you hear of an instability in an African country, ask yourself, what is really going on? Because what they are telling you is really going on is just a shiny object. The real issue is over here. And you need to stop before you start being used as an instrument of your own self-destruction.
She's did it. That is so powerful, and it's so true. I spent a lot of time on the continent, and it is beyond disturbing to see the after effects of the reality of the exploitation that continues to go on there. And I am so happy that she had the opportunity, that you got the opportunity to capture her, breaking that down. Because one thing I can say that I think is important that African Americans understand is that white supremacy is stunningly consistent. I don't care where it appears on this planet. If it appears in the form of colonization of the motherland, if it appears in the form of slavery, white Jim Crow, and oppression here in America, if it appears in the form of oppression of our brothers and sisters in South America, it is stunningly consistent. They utilize the same methods everywhere, killing our leaders, exploiting us economically. It is the same. And so when we try to segregate ourselves and say that as African Americans, our experiences are way different, let me just say, we do have a distinct culture, but we have a very similar history and a very similar contemporary reality when it comes to dealing with the after effects of supposed white supremacy.
So Shannon, what this initiative is that, first of all, there were a number of African leaders that were educated at HBCUs, Kwame Nkrumah, and many others, of course, who led Ghana, and the first prime minister was educated HBCUs. And so what they're trying to do is link many of those countries on the continent to HBCUs. Morgan State's president, Dr. David Wilson, talked about them establishing a footprint there as well. And they'll be taking a trip there August 1st through the 10th and trying to do more. And so it's called the HBCU Africa Homecoming. Today was their media launch. Go ahead.
You know, seeing this and hearing this, it's heartbreaking, you know, to understand that this has been going on from back then to a little bit further, to now, you know, and it's not something that I would hazard a guess that many African Americans are aware of. Not in the full detail.
And as a matter of fact, I made a point when I stood up there. I said probably if you asked 98% of black folks about the 1884 Berlin Conference, they would have no idea what you're talking about.
99.9.
So you know, we get so wrapped up in our struggles here, we forget that there are similar struggles that really are not as dissimilar as people would like to say, that are going on in all other parts of the world, specifically Africa and South America.
And Teresa, what's important here is the ability to be able to connect, and that is to connect African Americans with the continent. When you talk about the natural alliance is there, but you got to have folks who hook it together. Reverend Leon Sullivan, of course, the late Leon Sullivan, he did this for many years out of Philadelphia, having the annual conferences there as well. And it's interesting because one year they were going to have one of the annual conferences there, and I had these folks who, matter of fact, I probably still have the emails around here somewhere, and I was one of the folks they were trying to invite, and I couldn't go, but they were sitting here blowing me up. No, you shouldn't go because, this particular leader here, what they have done, in terms of, how corrupt they are. And I'm sitting there going, we can say that about a whole lot of folks here as well.
Heck yeah.
And the reality is they need our help. We need their help as well. So why would we not work together?
We should work together. And I think that connectability aspect that you're talking about from the U.S. to Africa, we can't just vacation to our motherland. We have to make sure that institutions, elected officials, those community leaders and those influencers are now reaching back and saying, listen, I don't want to just vacation in Ghana. I want to actually learn and educate the next generation, the current generation, and see how we can better communicate, how we can better help them out of their struggle. Because again, what's lacking in a lot of these public and charter schools is the education of blackness. And so without that, without not knowing where white supremacy comes from, where civil disruption or disobedience is coming from. It's coming from a pattern long-standing before we even came to today and figured out, oh, these are actual titles. No, this has existed since the 1800s. So I think that is a great initiative that the HBCU wants to do. And also, I don't want to just tag it at HBCUs. I want to look at private institutions. The one who has the millions, the University of Pennsylvania's, the Harvards, the Yale Laws, and see outside of the innovation and technology, are they willing to actually go back and want to help people more and more?
And again, actually, it's Reverend Leon Sullivan. My apologies. Lewis Sullivan, of course, was a brother who was Secretary of Health and Human Services under President George W. Bush, and who led Morehouse School of Medicine. Reverend Leon Sullivan. And it was like 7 years ago when they had the Sutherland Summit, and it was Equatorial Guinea. And these folks, Human Rights Watch, were saying, "Oh no, they shouldn't have this conference there." But when we talk about what's going on here, and again, we shot the whole media launch, and we're going to live stream it for you. Which also, again, folks, this just underscores why this platform matters. There were 2 other media people there, and they were African. Nobody else was there. And so I was invited, and I certainly appreciate that. I had a chance to address them as well. And one of the things that I talked about was why you must have a communication apparatus, because it's also one of the reasons why we don't know, which is also why, and I said it there, my whole point about HBCUs as well, why you have to have those HBCUs also sending out their information, letting folks know about what's going on, because otherwise we're existing in these silos. And so knowing what's going on is critically important, which is why it's important for you to support Roland Martin Unfiltered, because we have to have a platform that's covering our issues. While I was there, the brother who heads communications up for Ghana, said, hey, he would love to talk more. They, of course, they are talk about travel. They're doing a number of events in Ghana this year because of the year of return. Senegal. So people are planning all sorts of trips back to the motherland this year because it's the year of return. And so in talking, the brother said, hey, I would love to have the ambassador of Ghana come on your show. The reality is there is no place. There's no place for these African leaders to talk to black folks. Don't exist. It's not like you're going to be on a lot of these radio shows. And so we have to, that's why this platform matters, having the ability to be able to communicate. So we want you to support us at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar you give goes to support the show as well. And so we're looking forward to you doing that. So again, RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can pay via Cash App, PayPal, Square, you name it. It's all there on the website.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
All right, folks, they're back. MarijuanaStock.org is another great investment opportunity. If you were lucky enough to invest in their last crowdfunding campaign, you know they raised a lot of money in just a few months investing in legal marijuana farms. Those initial investors now own shares of a publicly traded company. Last time, of course, again, a lot of you missed it. Now you have a second opportunity for a new investment opportunity that is as good or if not better than the last time. I'm talking about industrial hemp CBD. Now, for those who don't know, the hemp plant is a cousin to marijuana with a much higher concentration of CBD, which means hemp CBD gives you all of the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. But the 2018 Farm Bill signed into law makes it illegal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S., creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. They need land and to grow all of the plants. This makes for an incredible investment opportunity, and that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords, and you can get in on the action, folks. You can invest in this crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200 up to $10,000. Like I said, you don't want to miss out on this opportunity. You should go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock, MARIJUANA stock.org. That's the website right there. You can get in the game and get in the game now.
Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. Now,
some big news out of New York City, where activists there are demanding that all of the cases that Linda Fairstein was involved in when she was head of the New York Sexual Crimes Unit be reopened as a result of her actions in dealing with the Central Park Five. Joining us right now is Jumaane Williams. He is the public advocate there in New York City. Hey, brother, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing all right. How about yourself, bro? Thanks for having me on.
Man, always good talking with you. Bottom line is this. The Ava DuVernay series on Netflix has really forced a lot of new dialogue. Linda Fairstein, she's lost her book publisher, her agent, her book deal. She's had to resign from boards. Of course, Elizabeth Lederer has decided not to renew at Columbia University. But now this renewed call to reopen the cases. Why do you believe all the cases should be reopened?
Absolutely. You know, and as Tamika Manley said, I don't think that Sister Ava's series told us something we didn't know. It brought it back to light. It made it as personal in a way that we could not ignore it. And so a bunch of us soon after, the Justice League, the Arc of Justice, got together and made some demands, some of which you have already said. But also, we said we want DA Cy Vance, who Lederer actually still works for, to fire her. And the second part, and probably most important, is to make sure that all of the cases that Linda Fairstein is supervised over, especially those that did not have any DNA evidence, should be reopened, period. You don't do the kind of thing that she did once. You do it multiple times. And we want to make sure that there aren't other people who are innocent sitting in jail right now. It's hard for us to believe that this was a one-off case.
Not only that, when you talk about that, also there were cops involved. And the fact that the city of New York has still not apologized for this. Raymond Santana, we had him on this show a week or so ago, and he said that the city of New York should release the depositions that were taken in their suit, saying because the people need to know what those cops said under the law and when they were sworn in. Do you also believe that the New York should open up those files, release those depositions unredacted, so people can know exactly what was said?
This is a systems thing. All of the systems failed, and Raymond is right. I mean, we've seen, unfortunately, some of these things happen time and time again. With the Eric Garner case, there was actually the reports that were put on. There were things that just were not true, and we've actually had this happen in New York City multiple times, and everybody knows that there are cases, unfortunately, where officers have lied and there has been no repercussions. So I would say 100% yes. We want everybody to be held accountable. This is something that you can't just let go by, because everybody knows how devastating it was. Brother Raymond, we all saw Corey Wise, who I've seen so many times, had no idea. He's a superhero to me right now, but we owe it to them and to the other folks who have been going through this, and the people who we know are still in jail now, to keep pushing forward. And we are not going to let up until Cy Vance, the DA, says that he's going to make sure that these things are reviewed, and Lederer, who still works for him, is fired. And we should go further and ask for these depositions to be reopened so people can see what happened and the folks who were involved are held accountable.
All right, Jumaane Williams, public advocate for the city of New York. I appreciate it, brother. Thanks a lot.
Well, let me just say, at 5:30 on Monday, 100 Center Street, we're going to be going to Cy Vance's office. We're asking everybody to join us, Justice League, Arc of Justice, myself, other electeds, other activists. Please come on down and meet us in New York City, 5:30 Monday, 100 Center Street.
All right, brother. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Peace.
Lon Victoria Burke, I want to go to you. The pressure continuing on Lederer, on Fairstein. Activists are making it clear they're not going to back down from any of this.
Yeah, and they shouldn't back down because, the public advocate, Mr. Williams, is right. I mean, obviously, this is something that's bound to show probably a prosecutorial pattern in her work. Obviously, the criminal justice system is very controlled by the prosecution side. People get elected, politicians get elected bragging about how many people they put in jail. There's money to be made off of our criminal justice system, unfortunately, so there's a perverse incentive there in some cases. I would imagine that, knowing New York, because I'm from the Bronx, that this will probably be a very lively discussion and a very lively protest on Monday, to say the least.
Eugene Craig, what we're talking about here is, again, people demanding accountability, and that's what we're looking at, a level of accountability when it comes to these prosecutors.
Yeah, and I agree 100% with the activists. The thing is this, when you see one instance, 1 ounce of prosecutorial misconduct, you got to open up every case. Because the thing is this, our justice system is supposed to provide equal justice under the law. And if you find a trace of equal justice not being applied, you have to have reasonable suspicion that it wasn't applied in other cases. And so, you know, it's only right that, you know, and this is something that should have happened years ago. This is something that should have happened a decade ago when these gentlemen were found to be innocent. It should have been demanded then that the rest of her cases, the rest of their cases were opened up. But with all the new heat around the new biopic of the Central Park Five, or the Freedom Free Five, you know, the rest of the cases from Linda Fairstein need to be opened up. They need to be examined. And look, you know, if she did right by those cases, nothing to happen. If she did wrong by those cases, you know, then we need to figure out how do we properly punish bad prosecutors.
And if she's so confident about that, she shouldn't have any problem with the cases being opened up. She's
Absolutely.
saying that the documentary is inaccurate. Also, by the way, Michael Bloomberg needs to be questioned at some point. He was the one that held up the settlement money, and what was that about exactly? You know, I mean, I don't see anybody rushing out to say that this documentary is inaccurate. I don't see any defamation suits being filed. That would indicate to me that the documentary is accurate, and in fact, this insane miscarriage of justice is correct. This portrayal of it is correct.
Teresa, what this also shows us is the power of media. The fact that there was a Ken Burns documentary that was done several years ago, that was on PBS, that got some attention, that had the renewed hype.
Right.
But for this to go on Netflix, the most viewed shows, the most viewed series on Netflix since it premiered May 31st. And because Netflix is worldwide, folks across the world saw this, and not just in the United States.
And that's an example of the power of media, the power of digital platforms, but more so the power of knowing what our voice is and actually putting that out to the public. So, I mean, in one instance, we are supposed to be having these platforms and these dialogues and these conversations to bring light to the injustices, to bring light to various situations that are happening across the county. I believe, you know, Sister Lauren and Eugene earlier, when we're talking about doing an examination of those cases, because, again, every municipality has an auditor, has a city controller, and, again, that is their jobs and duties. So if it takes a platform like Netflix or Hulu to present not only the idea, but present the facts to the public so they can now be pretty much the law enforcer on these issues, then that's what we just got to do. And again, it needs to go further, and solutions need to be had.
First of all, y'all know I pay no attention at that dumb as rocks child, Candace Owens. But last night she was back on Laura Ingram's show on Fox News, and she was debating Dr. Cornel West again. I don't know why he would even agree to go on with her a second time. After this comment, he shouldn't go on with that fool again. Press play.
It was absolutely socialist, and you know that. And you know that our community, after the first 100 years, Doctor, come on. The 100 years after slavery, the black community was doing better. We were going up, up, up. Then suddenly they socialized our community via welfare policies, and the black community started going down, down, down. And you're sitting here supporting a candidate that is advocating for making that on a larger scale. He's saying, we're not just going to do it to the black community, we're going to do it to every community in America. Well, you know his policies do not work.
Lord. Oh my God, Julian, she is truly one of the dumbest people I've ever seen in my life. Because 100 years after slavery, hold up, wait, before you go, I'm gonna toss to you, just hold on. 100 years after slavery, black folks were still being beaten and killed. They were still being lynched. They were still denied opportunities. 100 years after slavery ended, barely that year, 100 years afterwards, first of all, we had 100 years after slavery ended, we didn't even have, guess what? The 64 Civil Rights Act, 65 Voting Rights Act, 68 Fair Housing Act. If you actually look at the industries we were frozen out of, we couldn't live there. The housing policy didn't exist. It is as if she hasn't even bumped into a book But you know, she never finished college. But hell, you can finish junior high school and know how black folks were in 100 years after slavery.
You know, Roland, the thing about it is, not has she not even read a book, the book did not hit her upside the head. Does she not know about the history of terrorism against our people? From Ida B. Wells writing about lynching to Wilmington, 1898, where a black man who had the temerity to publish an article disparaging white women because a white woman said, "We will lynch every Negro. Lynch every Negro to protect our sanctity." And the brother responded, he was run out of Wilmington to Tulsa. Who is this child? Who is her mama and daddy? That's all I want to know. And can somebody take her into a small room and do something with her?
Scott Bolden, here's the deal. What's interesting? This is the game, and this is also why Fox News don't call brothers like me. But here's the deal. What they do by having a black woman like her say this, you have the white folks who watch Fox News going, "She's so right. Oh my gosh, she's so smart. She's so articulate." And I know Dr. West is really trying hard not to just blow her out of the water. But at some point, he got to say, "Girl, you stuck on stupid."
Yeah, you know, I've been in those debates with Laura Ingraham, and what happens, if I may, is that Laura talks the pro-right conservative talks, and it's hard to break in. You saw the good doctor trying to break in, and they just talked over him and around him. And so unless you get your points in right away, they may never come back to you. And then she, as the host, allows the Republican to dominate the conversation. So it comes off like that person is winning the debate, but it's really not a debate. It's just a very one-sided conversation.
And sometimes they actually turn your mic off.
And Monique,
sometimes they turn your mic off.
And Monique, what you have here, again, it is by design in order to keep playing this game. When if anybody understands the reality that the war on poverty, LBJ launched it in West Virginia. He didn't launch it in the Mississippi Delta. I love it when people like Candace talk about all these policies. More white people were impacted by those anti-poverty programs than black people. And that's still the case today.
Right, but Roland, same as the advice that you gave me the first time I was going to be on Tucker and the conversations that we've had for my appearances on Laura, I think the onus on people of color and conscience who end up on Fox News or similar networks is when you have the opportunity to speak, you use it in order to provide facts, truth, information. You do not use it to attempt to engage, whether it's with the host or whether it's with the numbskull of a person who is next to the host, because you have a real opportunity to speak to about 7.5 million people, and you have to use it at that point to say, "Sis, are you confused about Reconstruction? Here's what really happened. Right. You know, and here's what was going on 100 years after slavery, and here's why it's important for whatever this candidate is." And that is what I believe in using those opportunities for, because people, you know, who do what Sister Candace does, just
don't call her no
sister. A waste of time. But she is my
Everybody
sister.
brown ain't down, Monique.
Somebody on Twitter talked about how ugly she was.
Guys,
I don't agree with that.
One second. Monique, guys, 1 second. Monique, you're absolutely right. People say don't go on. No, you do go on. Yeah. What you say is, I'm not going to waste time with that nonsense. Here are the facts. Yeah. And in fact, what you do is before you even go on and say, I've already prepared a sheet for y'all. So go to if I was Dr. West, I would say, go to CornellWest.com. I've already listed all these items for y'all to read if you want more additional research. And I would say, Candace, by the way, you're more than welcome to download it as well, because clearly I don't know what you've been reading. 100. But that's the nonsense that you're seeing there. And it makes no sense whatsoever. And again, she ain't read Jack. Matter of fact, she's about as close to being right historically as Dinesh D'Souza, and we know he always wrong. Speaking of crazy ass white people,
no charcoal grills are allowed. I'm white. I got you, bro. Illegally selling water without a permit
on my property.
Whoa! Hey!
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
Oh, this is so delicious. I saw this over the weekend, and I said, oh, we've got to play this on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Monday. A white couple jumped out of their car to confront a Latino couple in a case of road rage. The white couple was hyped, cut them off, stopped their Cadillac SUV. They about to whoop some ass. But they didn't realize they went up against #Team Whip that ass. Press play.
I need police right now. I need police right here, right now. I need police right now. They're coming to my car on the freeway. They're here on the freeway.
What the fuck are you gonna do?
No, James, don't get off the car. Don't get off the car. What's up?
What are you gonna do?
Let him go. No, what? He's not working the fucking meter. Let him go. Fucking
The cops are on the phone. Can you please come? They're fighting on the freeway. Yes, physically.
Go, bro. Go, man. Please.
Please help. There's cars that are gonna get hit. Oh my god.
Go, please.
Oh my god. What do I do? Please help. The Glen Oaks Boulevard, ramp from Glen Oaks Boulevard. Hello, we're on the ramp for the Glen Oaks Boulevard. We're right on the ramp next to the Best Buy, right next to the Best Buy. It's the on-ramp.
The on-ramp?
Yes, right next to the Best Buy when you get onto the freeway.
Is it San Fernando?
Yes, it's on Pacoima. You know where the Best Buy's at?
Let go.
Get in the car. No, get in the car. Please.
Let go. Please.
Hello. It's Boulevard, Best Buy. I don't know the address. I'm only 16. I don't know. Yes.
Let's go. Get in the car. Hello?
Get in the car.
All right. On the expressway at that.
I don't think that ended up quite how they expected.
I'm pretty sure that was. I mean, when you get in your car with your clothes on, and you get out your car with your clothes on, you expect to get back in your car with your clothes on. I'm just saying.
They walked over like they were supposed to roll up the window and just keep it moving. Come on, y'all ain't gonna do nothing.
That was, again, again, they got the car. Yeah, what y'all gonna do? She's sitting here, and then she ends up halfway butt naked, shirt off, breasts all out, showing her bra. And then of course the hub say, man, no, it's cool. No, it ain't cool.
Y'all walked over here.
You got your ass at the car. No, you cut us off. Then you cussed us out, yelling out the car. Then you got out your car and walked over to our car.
Yeah, they were begging for that butt whooping.
They really did.
They
begged for that one.
Got kids in the back recording it.
She on the phone to 911.
Right, she on the car, and then finally when it was over, she's like, well, all right, we caught. We can go home.
Never mind.
Never mind. We don't need y'all.
It's handled.
They ain't got no weapons. They good.
But
they ain't got no clothes.
They ain't got no clothes.
But there's all these folks again. See, I keep warning. I keep warning white people.
The wrong one.
I keep warning white people. Yo, today don't you roll up on some folks. It ain't gonna end well. I don't know why these folks keep trying us. I'm telling y'all, it's not gonna end well. You keep acting a fool, and then when you get knocked the hell out, you're gonna be like Debo. You just gonna, like in Friday, you're gonna get knocked out. You know, just jumping out the car and stuff along those lines. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't understand. But the woman, the Latina was just wait.
Oh my God! It was like Hulk smash. She was just flinging that woman all over the place.
Sitting on her.
She thought about immigration and everything else. She was like, I'm so tired.
No good.
I'm tired of this.
She thought about Santa Ana, the Alamo. So she was reaching all the way back in
all
history.
All them ancestors.
All of them.
All
so
over that.
I'm just warning y'all. Don't act a fool.
But wait, kudos to the kids because they tried to stop it. Mom, you're embarrassing me. You know, they at least tried to stop it. All right, we got
Mom
it.
was like, ain't trying to hear that.
Exactly. At this point, look, go sit down.
Mom was like, man, I got
this.
But let me do this here, y'all, before I go to my next story, okay, which is a serious story. This is the third straight video. Can y'all do me a favor? Can y'all please learn how to shoot horizontal? See, Henry, play the video again. Henry, play the video again. Just take the audio down. I just need to show y'all something, okay? This is y'all. I need y'all to stop. That's a vertical video. Y'all see all that stuff on the left and right we gotta put on the screen to fill it up? I need y'all to learn how to shoot your fight videos different.
You don't care about the other ones, but just the fight videos.
Like right here, okay? Now, Henry, go to my iPad. Go to my iPad. Okay, y'all, do you see this? See, that was shot horizontal. That was the robotics competition at Rainbow Push. I saw some video about 3 years ago. See, y'all, see how it fills the whole screen up? Just do me a favor. If y'all are shooting crazy-ass white people, please, I need you to shoot this way. I need you to shoot horizontal. Because, see, I want to get the whole ass whipping. I want the whole ass whipping in the picture. I can't get the whole ass. I can only get, like, portions of it when y'all shoot this way. And so, again, and let me show you. I got two phones. See, you can even do it with two hands, okay? This is how you even do it. You got two. Boom. I'm shooting two. It's like all the action going. Then I can go high. I can go. That's right. That's all I'm saying. So if y'all shoot these videos, okay, you should end the video. I need y'all to go, and even when you go live on Instagram, Facebook Live, turn your phone, go horizontal, okay? I know y'all think it's easier doing this way. No. But for television purposes, I need y'all to go ahead and shoot that thing horizontal so I can get the full picture of crazy-ass white people getting their ass whooped on freeways. That's all I'm saying. I appreciate that.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
All right, folks, they're back. MarijuanaStock.org is another great investment opportunity. If you were lucky enough to invest in their last crowdfunding campaign, you know they raised a lot of money in just a few months investing in legal marijuana farms. Those initial investors now own shares of a publicly traded company. Last time, of course, again, a lot of you missed it. Now you have a second opportunity for a new investment opportunity that is as good or if not better than the last time. I'm talking about industrial hemp CBD. Now, for those who don't know, the hemp plant is a cousin to marijuana with a much higher concentration of CBD, which means hemp CBD gives you all of the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. But the 2018 Farm Bill signed into law makes it illegal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S., creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. They need land and to grow all of the plants. This makes for an incredible investment opportunity, and that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords, and you can get in on the action. Folks, you can invest in this crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200 up to $10,000. Like I said, you don't want to miss out on this opportunity. You should go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock, MARIJUANA stock.org. That's the website right there. You can get in the game and get in the game now.
Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, thank God for cell phones. When we talk about what's happening with police brutality all across the country, it is vital that, frankly, we as citizens record what these cops are doing. This video went viral over the weekend. Took place in Hawthorne, California, where there was an armed robbery. Then all of a sudden, the cops descended upon this young man, guns drawn, and he wasn't arrested. But luckily, this sister, who she, of course, had to deal with the issue of gun violence, cops killing her boyfriend. She was there shooting this video. It went viral over the weekend. Check this out.
We are on the corner of Prairie and El Segundo, and they have their guns drawn on this young black man right here. Why are your guns pulled on this young man?
I ain't got no weapons.
He has no weapons on him. We live right now. We are so live. What's your name?
Make sure you add them people up here. They attack you.
What's
at the gas station, they attack you.
What's your name? What's your name?
Make sure you add that.
What's your
My name is William.
last name, William?
What you loaded for? I ain't doing shit. I have no weapons. That was too unarmed right there.
Are you gonna shoot him? Are you gonna shoot him?
What?
Okay, relax, baby. Relax. Relax, because they will shoot you. They killed my boyfriend in 2015. Yes, he was killed by the police. You're gonna shoot me too, right? For filming, right? We live. Look at that big ass gun she got on this man with no weapon. Is all that really necessary, ma'am? I'm sorry. I just need to know. Is all the guns drawn on him necessary? Excuse me, Mr. Officer. My name is Sky Hosey. My boyfriend name was Leroy Browning, and he was killed December 15th at a Taco Bell. This is crazy to me. Look, my car is right there. I was getting gas. I don't understand why y'all got guns drawn on him right now. Are y'all about to kill this man? Like, look at these big ass guns they got on this man right now. Look at this baby. Look at this baby.
Stand up and walk slowly to the sound of my voice. Do it now.
Can y'all just put your guns away and somebody get them?
My name is William, not suspect.
Don't move. Don't move. Please don't move. Can somebody just come get him? Can somebody put your guns down and get him, please? Don't resist him, okay?
All right, folks. The police department released a statement on June 7th stating that the man was detained, was taken in. Now, he wasn't arrested. Now, it's still unclear exactly what took place. But again, this is an indication of what we're seeing all across this country. Joining us right now, Dr. Avis Jones DeWeaver, political analyst. Also joining us, Pastor Shannon Wright, third vice chair, Maryland Republican Party, Teresa Lundy, founder, TML Communications. Avis, you see this sister here, pleading with them.
Yeah.
And again, according to the police, he loosely matched the description. The problem there for us is loosely could get us killed.
Absolutely. I mean, that's always the excuse, right? And what she did was save this man's life. We saw her save this man's life. She did several things that were absolutely critical. First of all, she announced to them that she was videoing live. She told them
it was on Instagram live.
It's live. Then she kept sort of challenging them in terms of all of them pointing their guns and their firepower at him, an unarmed person. She kept repeating that. And then finally, when she said, don't move, after he was at first told to stand up, that right there really saved his life, because all we need is one person to say, he's reaching, he's moving. And when one person starts shooting, they would all start shooting. This sister saved this man's life, but he shouldn't have been put in that position in the first place.
The issue, Shannon, I think for African Americans is, again, you see the video, pull it up, please, drop the audio, but just pull the video up. You're on a corner, 5, 6 police cars show up. You don't know which one of these cops could get the itchy finger.
Right.
I think back to Terrence Crutcher in Tulsa, where there were 3 or 4 police officers, 3 cops didn't overreact, 1 did.
Yep.
She was the one who shoots and killed Terrence Crutcher. So it's not me. You're sitting there, and that's why the sister in the video was like, baby, calm down. You make any move, these fools, he will fire a gun at you.
Yeah, she did the right thing to tell him to be still, because for him, the way he was down on his knees with his hands up on his head, you couldn't keep your hands there and get up.
Right.
So he would have had to have put his hand down, and they would have said he was reaching.
It was sort of like the video we had last week where we showed it where the cops, the guy was on the driver's side, and the brother's filming, and the guy says, turn the engine off. He said, I am not moving.
Right.
He said, my hands are right here.
Yep.
He said, and then the cop actually tells his folks, there's a gun, and the guy's like, there's no gun in the car?
Right.
This brother's like, no, I'm not turning nothing off. I am not moving, so you could sit here and say I was reaching for a gun.
Absolutely. When our children were younger, there was a little booklet that the NAACP used to put out, Traveling While Black. And he used to say the things that you do and that you don't do if you get stopped, if you find yourself in a questionable situation, even though you know you didn't do anything wrong. Because you can be dead right and still be dead. So, you know, it's serious today. Folks got to really understand, yes, you have rights, but that bullet doesn't care about your rights. So you need to put yourself in the best place possible to know you will go home at the end of the day.
And Teresa, by the end of the day, you cannot fully trust any of these cops. You can't.
No, you can't, and nor so can you listen to their directive and really take it seriously. Because if that young man actually moves, especially hearing the heartwarming story that the young lady said about her boyfriend in 2015 was shot, you know, and he was at Taco Bell. I mean, she's speaking from experience. You heard it in her voice. You heard the anxiety. So she's like, something happened that went wrong with her boyfriend.
Right.
And if she wasn't getting gas across the street, who knows exactly what would have happened to that man in that moment. And so when we can't trust cops, when we can't trust the people who are sent to protect and serve and who are supposed to be our saviors in communities at large, of which they keep calling and ask us to donate to, it puts the public in a real not at ease, even though they're trying to, I believe, diversify as much, but they're not putting more of us on the street, nor are they also giving us more training. So again, I think this is not only a national discussion, but definitely local precincts need to do better, and they need to do probably have at least more consequences for these officers.
Well, I just think that, again, when you're in that situation, what is happening for us, we're the ones who end up dead.
Absolutely.
We're the ones who end up shot. We're the all of a sudden becomes, I feared for my life, and then people go, well, you're a cop, so we'll go ahead and give it to you.
Yeah.
And again, the brother's dead.
Unless you're a black cop that shoots a white woman.
Yeah. Then of course
you go on in jail.
Then of course you go to jail for 12 and a half years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.